News now begins in the Federal Capital Territory, where the Independent National Electoral Commission has confirmed receiving the contact details of representatives behind the petition seeking to recall Senator Natasha Akpoti-Oduaghan, who represents Kogi Central. INEC had previously stated that the petitioners failed to include their contact addresses, phone numbers and email addresses in the covering letter that accompanied the petition as required under Clause 1F of its regulations and guidelines. However, in an update on Wednesday, INEC National Commissioner and Chairman of the Information and Voter Education Committee, Sam Olumekun, announced that the missing details had now been provided in the letter addressed to the INEC Chairman dated March 26, 2025. INEC further stated that the next step would be to verify the list of signatories submitted by the petitioners to ensure that the petition is supported by more than half of the registered voters in the constituency. The electoral body also reassured Nigerians that the recall process would be conducted openly and transparently. The statement also noted that by the Commission's regulations and guidelines for recall 2024, the Commission has also sent a formal notification to the Senator in question about the receipt of the petition. In reaction to this, the suspended Senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha Akpoti-Oduaghan, has criticized the Independent National Electoral Commission for allowing corrections to errors in the petition, seeking her recall instead of rejecting it outrightly. Speaking through a lawyer, Victor Giwa, Akpoti-Oduaghan accused INEC of compromising its neutrality by assisting the petitioners rather than declaring the petition procedurally flawed and therefore invalid. The suspended senator argued that INEC should have dismissed the petition outrightly, which would have brought an immediate end to the recall process. She also pointed out that the addresses provided in the petition were limited to Okene, Kogi State, questioning whether the signatures truly represented the entire senatorial district. Let's now head to the lower chamber, where a bill to remove the immunity granted to vice presidents, governors and their deputies has passed a second reading. The bill is one of the 42 constitutional amendments passed by the House on Wednesday and is aimed at curbing corruption and impunity, as well as enhance accountability in public office. News Central's correspondent Idong Joseph has more in this report.
As a senator.
A motion of urgent national importance was raised by lawmaker Eyin Baribe, calling for the Senate to immortalize
Nigerian constitution is once again undergoing another round of amendments as lawmakers from the House of Representatives have passed 42 additional constitution amendment bills, pushing the total number of bills that have passed the second reading to 81. One major amendment that formed the key highlight of the review process is the bill that seeks to strip the vice president, governors and their deputies of constitutional immunity, a move considered to enhance accountability and reduce corruption.
A bill for an act to alter the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 to qualify immunity conferred on the President, remove the immunity conferred on the Vice President, the governors and their deputies in order to curb corruption, eradicate impunity and enhance accountability in public office and for related matters. Second reading.
Also under review is a proposal seeking to ensure legal affairs are handled independently from political influence, creation of new states, and granting of citizenship rights to foreign spouses of Nigerian women, amongst others.
A bill for an act to alter the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 to separate the offices of the Attorney General of the Federation, Attorney General of a state from the offices of the Minister of Justice of the Federal Government and Commissioner for Justice of the Government of a state and for related matters. Second reading.
In addition to these amendments, lawmakers earlier raised issues of urgent national importance relating to public health crisis and infrastructure.
Alarming outbreak of meningitis in Ali Rugundu Jiga Federal Constituency of Kebbi State, which has led to loss of lives as the cases continue to increase. The House also concerned that this outbreak is devastating to the affected communities.
The House observes that despite this significant investment, Nigeria's roads infrastructure remains in a deplorable state, with over 70% of the country's 200,000 kilometers road network still unpaved.
After considering the report of some of the bills already passed, the House then moved into a committee of the whole for a clause-by-clause consideration, including those transmitted from the Senate.
Clause 1, Clause 2, Clause 3, the shadows, explanatory memorandum, the long title of the bill.
As the constitutional review process progresses, these amendments, like those previously passed, will undergo legislative scrutiny. In Abuja for News Central, Idonk Joseph.
Right, Honorable Speaker.
In a related development, state governments have voiced strong opposition to a controversial bill in the House of Representatives that seeks to remove constitutional immunity for governors, deputy governors, and the vice presidents, exposing them to persecution for criminal offenses. The bill, which has passed its second reading, aims to amend Section 308 of the 1999 Constitution. While it retains immunity for the president, it proposes to strip it from other top executive office holders. With this stage cleared, the bill will now proceed to the House Committee on Constitutional Review for further deliberation and possible legislative action. Proponents, including sponsor Solomon Bob, argue that removing immunity will enhance the fight against corruption and promote greater accountability in governance. However, state officials and legal experts have raised concerns that the move could expose office holders to politically motivated lawsuits, disrupt governance, and potentially destabilize state administrations. We take you to Rivers State now, where the sole administrator, retired Vice Admiral Ibok Etebas, has announced the immediate suspension of all political appointees and office holders across the state. According to a statement released on Wednesday by the Chief of Staff to the administrator, the decision was made under the executive powers granted to IBAS by President Bola Tinubu. Those affected by the suspension include the Secretary to the State Government, Chief of Staff, Commissioners, Chairpersons, and members of boards, agencies, commissions, and parastatals. Others include special advisors, special assistants, and senior special assistants. IBAS, who was sworn in as the sole administrator on March 19, took over leadership following President Bola Tinubu's declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State. This move resulted in the suspension of Governor Siminalayo Fubara, his deputy Ngozi Odu, and all elected members of the Rivers State House of Assembly for an initial 6-month period. Away from that, a group of young people in Delta State, South Nigeria, under the platform of the Delta APC Unity Forum, has urged President Bola Tinubu to intervene in the ongoing leadership crisis rocking the party in the state. The group laments the leadership tussle between Senator Ovie Omagege, the former deputy president of the Senate and 2023 governorship candidate in the state, and Festus Keyamo, the current Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development. At a press conference in Asaba, Delta State capital, the group says the president needs to weigh in on the lingering crisis.
We've looked at some of the challenges we've been going through as a party in recent times, most especially the issues of the conflicts surrounding the APC in Delta State, the leadership conflicts. And we realized that everybody cannot just be quiet over the unending issues that are on ground. And we decided that we're going to come out as a group and call the attention of Mr. President and the attention of the national chairman of the APC to look into the current political leadership crisis that we're having here in Delta State. Because we've realized that his intervention as a father will go a long way in resolving this matter. And that is why we decided to call ourselves together to form a voice, a very formidable voice that will be calling on Mr. President in the coming weeks. And while we are doing that, we also go around the leadership within the states, the key players in all of this. Because when two elephants fight, it is the grass that suffers.
We now take you back to Rivers State, even as reactions continue to pour in over the state of emergency declaration. Now, the president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Alpha Mosigwe, senior advocate of Nigeria, has emphasized that the essence of the rule of law is governance by law, not by individuals. Speaking on Breakfast Central, Osigwe stated that all government actions, decisions and pronouncements must be justified within the framework of the Constitution. He further stressed that a functional government must uphold constitutional principles to ensure fairness, accountability and justice in governance.
I believe that our motto is promoting the rule of law, and Nigeria should be a country ruled by law and not by men, and that actions should be governed by the dictates of the Constitution, both the spirit and the letters of the same. And that whenever any government functionary takes a decision or makes a pronouncement, such pronouncement or decision must be justified in the context of the Constitution, which is 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And looking at the content of the address by the President, we have the view that the reason stated for the declaration of state of emergency did not meet the requirement of Section 305, I think subsection 2. And also the declaration by the President suspending the governor, his deputy, and the sitting of the House of Assembly, in our view, was also unconstitutional, in that the Constitution does not empower a president or any person, for that matter, except the House of Assembly, to remove or suspend a governor. In this section 11.4 of the Constitution, which has to be read together with Section 305, makes it clear that in an emergency, that the National Assembly does not have power to remove a governor. And I don't want to waste my time on the argument whether suspension is removal, because when I suspend you, I remove you, I'll be temporarily from acting in your office. And we should take that argument as being of no moment. So the point is, the President does not have the power. And some people may argue, but say it's National Assembly and not the President. For the President to have express power to remove a governor, such powers must be donated by the Constitution. And if you look at Section 188, I think, which stipulated circumstances or reasons for removal of a governor, of a person to cease to act in the office of a governor, declaration of state of emergency is not one of the grounds. And if we are led by the Constitution, it must be such that no such power is exercised by a person that cannot be justified in reference to the Constitution.
Away from that, the 15th Emir of Kano, Aminu Bayero, has cancelled the Eid-el-Fitr Durbar celebration due to security concerns in the state. Speaking at his Nasarawa Mini Palace in Kano on Wednesday night, Bayero emphasized that the peaceful coexistence of the people takes precedence over the Durbar celebration. He had initially planned to mark the Durbar celebration, which would have coincided with his 5th anniversary on the throne. However, after consultations with respected Islamic clerics, elders, stakeholders, and his council members, he decided to cancel the event to maintain peace in the state. Now, News Central's correspondent, Emmanuel Bagudu, joins us now for more updates. Emmanuel, good morning to you. Now, what is the situation like in Kano State over this situation?
Yes, good morning from Kano. The situation is calm. Of course, the 15th Emir of Kano have chose to toe the path of peace by, relaxing and cancelling the planned Salah Durbar. That's a huge sacrifice being made by a royal father. The people of Kano, for the people of Kano, any Salah celebration without the carnival is boring. And in fact, they are not happy if there's no any carnival. But of course, the embattled Emir have decided, to choose the path of peace, and that means he has sacrificed to douse the tension in the state, which is really a great development. Yeah.
So what is the implication in terms of how the other party, that's the Sanusi Lamido party, or would see this particular case? Does that mean that they would be probably holding the celebration?
Yes, the celebration is ongoing. In fact, there has been a circular going on. Of course, by tomorrow, we are going to see the arrival of horses into the Kudu Palace. Of course, district heads, the Kano State Emirate Council has been the one organizing that. The state government is organizing that together with the Kano State Emirate Council. So that celebration is going to go on. And the implication of Ado Bayero sacrificing his carnival for his rival Aminu Sanusi II simply means that Sanusi is going to, be the official person to carry out that particular Salah carnival. And of course, it simply means that all supporters of Ado Bayero who wants to actually enjoy the carnival, which they always claim that without the carnival there will be there's no Salah. It simply means that some of them may be forced to join, the entourage, or rather the procession of Muhammad Sanusi II, which is going to be a very large procession, of course, going around the Kano City Center and then ending up at the government house where his emir is going to pay homage to the governor. So it simply means that, the implication simply means that it is only Muhammad Sanusi II that will partake, that will carry out that carnival, and it simply means that the tension has doused down in the state and everywhere is calm. Yeah.
I wonder how the Ado Bayero camp will take this, because that would eventually legitimize the position of Sanusi Lamido as the Emir of the states, of course, of the states, of the Emirates.
Yes, you are right. They are not going to be happy. Most of them are not going to be happy because, of course, it's a decision, it's a sacrifice they have to make for the interests of their principal. Because, of course, their principal, Ado Bayero, has actually led an example, of course, choosing to toe the path of peace. It's a sacrifice they have to make. Just like you said, you are very correct. They're not going to be happy about it. It's a decision that they will not take it lightly. But of course, the Ado Bayero has made it clear in his broadcast that the reason for this is after he received a lot of counsel, a lot of advice from royal fathers, from Islamic clerics, from well-respected Nigerians, that he should, step this carnival down for the interest of peace. You remember during the Emirate Council last year in June, there was a press briefing by the police commissioner at that time, Commissioner Gumel, who made it clear that there are hoodlums that normally take advantage of these, volatile situations, that normally take advantage of this tense situation to cause mayhem. And Kano is a very, very conservative state. A lot of people, try to take advantage of situations and then cause trouble. And that has been what Aminu Ado Bayero, I guess, observed, that made him, that motivated him to, to calm down and choose to toe the path of peace, and then allowing Muhammad Sanusi to go ahead with the carnival. From tomorrow, a lot of activities will begin. All the district heads are going to be arriving at the Kudu Palace, and then, of course, the Emirate Council is leading in the organization of that particular Durbar to be organized by Muhammad Sanusi II, which is going to happen between Saturday, Sunday, and of course Monday. Yeah.
Okay, we can only wish everyone in Kano State happy celebration. I hope you'll be bringing me some chicken, Emmanuel. Maybe sometime when we see. But then, thank you so much for sharing these updates with us. Let's go on a short break now. When we return, we will tell you about Aguda CDA residents that are set to be engaging in a protest over power bill hikes. We'll bring you more details and more stories when we are back. To stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us as we bring you some health-related stories. Autism affects millions of children worldwide, including in Nigeria and Africa. However, lack of awareness, stigma, and limited resources hinder diagnosis and treatment. In Nigeria, autism is often misunderstood, leading to social exclusion and marginalization. Across Africa, access to specialized care and therapy is scarce. It's time to break down these barriers, advocates have said, and they also say there's a need to raise awareness, provide training for healthcare professionals, and support families affected by autism. Knowledge gap and scarce funding, they say, are the most noticeable challenge to care for those impacted by it. Now, an autism advocate, Dotun Akwande, joins me live to speak more about this. Thank you so much for coming to our studios.
Thank you for having me.
So, has the level of awareness and the understanding of autism in Nigeria improved over the past 10 years compared to 5 years ago?
Yes, sure. Autism has improved over time. We have seen quite a lot of centers coming up since we started in 2006. There has been a rise in many more people being aware of what autism is and how they can manage it in their various areas of need. And because we know that It's an individual disorder, in the case that if you've seen one person with autism, you've seen just that one person. It's very individualized. We encourage the centers and the parents, you know, to try and focus more on the child rather than on what is going on in the environment.
Okay, so then how accessible and affordable are autism diagnosis and treatment and support services in Nigeria, especially in rural and underserved regions?
It's actually very expensive. It's not something that parents should carry. It's not a burden that parents should carry. But as we know, in the Nigeria of today, quite a lot of things are not being supported by the government. To care for a child with autism in a setting such as ours, you would need to have about 3 million a year to be able to do that. And that's just in therapy alone, not to talk of other areas where the child might have challenges, after school hours, social gatherings. Some children come with medical issues such as seizures that you have to take medication on. Some have very high hyperactivity that you need to take some form of medication for, or sporting activity. And then some have nutritional needs that needs the attention of the parents. So, for instance, we try to encourage the parents to stay away from things that have sugar in it, things that have a life shelf. We encourage them to go organic, because we know that quite a number of our children with autism deal with gut issues that would need quite some tender, loving care, as we always call it, to support their gut development, because the gut is the second brain, and we must acknowledge that.
Before we talk about government interventions, what role can education play now in fostering inclusion and acceptance of children with autism within Nigerian schools and communities?
Okay, in Nigeria, the government is not involved, I would say, in any way apart from advocacy. Maybe in some form they've supported advocacy by coming to the programs, encouraging centers such as ours to do more in support of the parents. But in terms of really going into programs for parents, it's been very difficult. And the government has done little or nothing to impact the lives of these parents. As we know, when we have children and they are different, they come with with some form of disorder, disability or disorder, the parents feel dejected, and quite a number of times we don't understand where they don't understand where this disorder is coming from. So there's the need for the government to step in more in the area of advocacy, because even though we've seen an increase in the advocacy space, there's still a gap that needs to be filled by the government.
Okay, so let's dwell more on what the government needs to do. Let's even look at it from the angle of policies. Now, for policymakers, healthcare professionals, and those who are within the confines of these particular discourse, what kind of collaboration or efforts can go into developing and implementing effective policies and programs for this spectrum of the population?
In terms of policy, parents are the ones that drive policy. And I remember when I started I started advocacy in 2005, and now we have seen quite a lot of people that have come up in terms of going into the government space, telling them about this is what we need, and then showing them the effects of what therapy can do in the lives of these children. The policy that we need, the cooperation we need from parents to come together is still very limited. Everybody is still in one way or the other working in silos. And we are looking at a stage where we can all come together and sit to form policies that affect our children, and policies that the government can use to support. It breaks my heart when we miss early intervention in these children, and we start to see them at the age of 10, 11, 12, when we know that early intervention is one of the major aspects of how we can support these children. If we miss between the ages of 3 to 5, we've missed a huge gap. So the cooperation is still very limited. It's going on, it's ongoing. Many of us are coming together, to do quite a number of things. For instance, we have a partnership with specialists that come into our space to train teachers. Because another thing we are seeing is that people just come into the field and say, oh, I'm a therapist. And they have no skills, they have no knowledge. So we've gone a step ahead to garner these specialists together. Let's come together and train these professionals for them to get to this stage. If we can do that with professionals, I'm sure we can do that with policy. It's an ongoing project for us. Policy is something that we've not really put our hands together, to bring to the fore. And I know that this is going to change from now on, especially as the young ones are coming into the space.
All right, Dr. Akode, thank you so much for your efforts in promoting, of course, the issues around autism and for looking out for autistic individuals in Nigeria. We hope that you get all the help that you can. It was nice talking to you.
Thank you for having me.
We now go on our short break. When we return, we'll talk about sustainable housing solutions. Do stay with us. In a bid to provide sustainable housing solutions and enhance environmental quality, living conditions and safety, the Federal Housing Authority has carried out a demolition exercise targeting dilapidated properties on 5th Avenue, Gwarinpa in Abuja. Managing Director of the FHA, Oyetunde Ojo, reaffirmed the administration's commitment to President Bola Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda, which aims to provide safe and affordable housing for all Nigerians. He assured affected residents that the demolished houses will be rebuilt within 1 year and handed back to their original occupants at no cost. Following the demolition, the FHA management has implemented development control measures to ensure strict adherence to approved building plans and regulations.
A year ago, our attention was called to this building, a dilapidated building of ours, and quickly we had to go and do an integrity test and do a SOR test, and we realized there should be a demolition exercise to be carried. When there's an integrity test issue on most of our properties, quickly our PI department, that's projects, our engineers, qualified staffs, and everybody done writing. So we had to sit down with the allottees or the occupiers of the place. The most important thing is, one, safety of life, and secondly, with the Renewed Hope agenda, in most cases, people are always afraid. After demolition, what next? Will the properties or their allocations be given to somebody else? And one of the first things we try to do is to make sure nothing to worry about, safety first, then we would reallocate to the original occupier.
Safety first, and ensuring that the occupiers do not lose their property. When they called our attention to this, apart from physical examination, we carried out structural integrity tests on all the structural members, and we discovered it has failed. So, and because the safety of everybody is important to us, so we evacuated them, and we are demolishing now. And what we are doing is control demolition. We make sure that we adhere strictly to all environmental laws in demolishing places like this. Because initially we were scared. When we got the property, we didn't know that I have structural defects. So the glory of God, we are scared if FHA will collect the building from us. But when we wrote, immediately they came to our rescue. So the glory of God, I want to thank God and thank the MD that have assured us that after the building it back, all of us will get our own flats.
Now, residents are calling on the Abia State government to provide more infrastructure developments as Governor Alex Oti-led administration continues to prioritize road construction projects. New Central's Chinwe Ogele has more in this report.
In 2 years, Abia State government under Governor Alex Oti has taken up the construction and reconstruction of major roads in Umuahia and Aba. giving the two cities the much desired facelift.
And the road is one of the basic amenities we're supposed to be for the entire citizen, for the good of the entire citizen.
Presently, there are ongoing reconstruction work on various sites, with some fully completed and commissioned for use. Besides the road infrastructure, the state government has shown interest in the health and education sectors, although their impacts are yet to be felt. The residents say that other basic amenities deserve equal attention, but are totally fine with the government's concentration on roads for now.
To start with, there are in life there are scale of preference. You must count one before you count two. And if you watch out their states, you know that we have been suffering bad network of road. So starting with road, I think is very primary. It's very, very important.
Really, the road is doing is okay. I appreciate him. The road is doing because people are like the road. It will enable them to move very well.
The people are confident that the new policy on education by the government will begin to yield positive results in due course.
The health, he has already dived into the health sector. He's already doing something. So, but the health sector and the road, like we are talking about the roads now, is something that people can see right now. Well, that of the health sector, he's already doing something, at least 30–50% already.
And the schools also, especially in the area of teachers recruitment, employing qualified and competent teachers.
Although the government has taken up some roads in the rural communities, the people want the rural dwellers to be carried along in the scheme of things.
Abia is not only Umuahia, the other rural communities that made up Abia State. So those people, they need attention. The attention should be given to them. That is where the block boats comes from.
While the residents are expressing appreciation to the Abia State government for its ongoing road rehabilitation efforts, recognizing the improvements to infrastructure, they equally want the government to do more. In Omahia for News Central, Chinwe Ukele.
Let's also tell you that residents of Aguda CDA in Surulere, Lagos, have marched to the Federal High Court in Ikoyi to protest against soaring electricity bills. They claim that since being moved to Band A, their electricity charges have become unbearably high and unaffordable. The protesters are calling on the government to intervene and provide relief. And now we have our reporter, Bernard Akede, who has been monitoring the situation to actually give us an update. Bernard, let's have an understanding of what the yearnings of these people are. What are they saying?
Lekon, good morning. Well, we're actually here for two cases. Well, first of all, what you saw or what you just spoke about is, I'll say, something on the side. Residents of Aguda CDA complaining about high tariffs by, EKEDC, charging them exorbitant rates, and some are complaining that those rates are even higher than what they pay for house rent. But that's on the side. That's not actually why I am here. Now, this case is a bit different. Now, this one is a case concerning fraud, and the courtroom where this is taking place is right behind me. There, we've even seen high-profile lawyers like Femi Falana, who's also in there. This particular one is Fidelity Bank, and I think 3 other banks basically going to court challenging ruling by the CBN. Now, I'll quickly try to break it down for you. Now, Fidelity Bank, as I mentioned earlier, and 3 other banks challenging the jurisdiction of the Federal High Court in Lagos over the charges filed by the Attorney General of the Federation, I beg your pardon, over an alleged conversation of approximately 19 billion naira belonging to Woobs Resources Limited. Now, the issue here came to light on Wednesday, that's I think it was on the 19th of February, during the scheduled arrangement of the bank, some of its officials and a subsidiary company. Now, this particular case has been brought forward here to Court 3 in the Ikoyi Federal High Court, and is being presided over now by the Honorable Justice Alagwa, who has just come into the courtroom and is about to preside over the court. As a matter of fact, I think the proceedings have comments. I mentioned earlier that this is a high-profile case. I may not be able to stand with you for long because the case has started and we need to go in to find out what the proceedings are about. But once the case is over, Lekon, I will be able to give you further information. Again, it's a high-profile case, heavy, if you want me to use that language, heavy lawyers, so to speak, like one of the lawyers did say to me here, are standing in here concerning the case. One of such lawyers is Femi Falana, SAN, and once he steps into the courtroom, you know that it becomes a frenzy. So definitely that's going on here. Honorable Justice Alagoa is the one in charge hearing this case. And then once the case is over, we'll be able to bring you further information concerning what this is all about.
All right, thank you so much, Bernard, for the clarification and the updates. Of course, a developing story, so we'll keep tabs with you to get more details later. Coming up on the news, new dawn in Niger as military chief Chani is sworn in as president. We'll tell you more in a short while. Join us again. We'll tell you that the head of Niger's military regime, who seized power in a July 2023 coup, has been formally sworn in as president of the republic for a minimum term of 5 years. In his inauguration speech in Niamey, Abdurrahmani Chani described his presidency as a new beginning for a sovereign Niger committed to national development. A veteran soldier, Chani was also promoted to the country's highest military rank of Army General. Shortly after taking office, he signed a decree dissolving all political parties, further consolidating his grip on power. His actions defy pressure from regional blocs, pushing for a swift return to democracy following the 2023 coup that ousted Niger's elected government.
Dans son contenu que la charte innove. En effet, elle consacre, entre autres, le principe d'un recours au référendum populaire pour permettre au peuple de s'exprimer sur tout projet d'installation de bases militaires étrangères dans notre pays, ou encore des mesures inédites de protection de nos ressources naturelles. Il s'agit véritablement d'impact politique et social qui prend en compte nos réalités et nos légitimes aspirations d'un nouveau départ pour un Niger souverain et résolument engagé sur le chemin de son développement. Mais la réalisation de cet objectif va nécessiter de chacun et de tous un effort assidu au travail. Elle va aussi nécessiter une résilience à toute épreuve et d'importants sacrifice.
From other continents, we'll tell you that President Donald Trump of the U.S. has announced a 25% import tax on cars and car parts entering the United States, a move that risks escalating the ongoing global trade war. Trump stated that the new tariffs will take effect from April 2, with charges on vehicle imports beginning the next day, while tariffs on car parts are expected to come into force in May or later. The president argued that the measure would drive tremendous growth in the U.S. automobile industry, promising it would boost jobs and attract investments. In sports, Akwa Ibom's top-tier sporting facilities have positioned the state as a prime host for the inaugural Niger Delta Sports Festival set for between April 1 and 9. Chairman of the main organizing committee, Boma Yaye, led an inspection tour of key venues, including the Dakada Skills Acquisition Center, West Intam Sports Center, Ultra Fit Recreational Center, and Uyo Township Stadium. He praised the state's commitment to sports infrastructure, declaring the committee 90% ready. Sponsored by the NDDC for its 25th anniversary, the festival aims to nurture talent and enhance regional sports development, featuring 17 sports including football, basketball, wrestling, and swimming. The event seeks to empower youth and establish a sustainable sports culture in the Niger Delta. In the meantime, the battle for the 2024-2025 Nigeria Women Football League Super 6 intensified as Rivers Angels, Bayelsa Queens and Edo Queens extended their unbeaten runs on March Day 9. Rivers Angels edged Ibom Angels 1-0 in Uyo, with Mary Moses scoring in the 62nd minute. Bayelsa Queens secured a late 1-0 victory over Delta Queens, courtesy of Chinwe Akabike's 83rd minute goal. Edo Queens defeated Abia Angels 2-1, with Goodness Osigwe and Esther Moses scoring before Mary Lucky pulled one back. Elsewhere, FC Robo thrashed Benue Queens 8-1 and Nasarawa Amazons beat the NAS Ladies 3-0. With match day 10 ahead, teams remain locked in the race for Super 6 qualification. Let's also tell you that the Confederation of African Football faces a major setback as Ivory Coast withdraws from hosting the 2025 Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations set for April 26 to May 18. The Ivorian Football Federation announced the decision on March 25, citing government communication deeming the tournament's hosting impossible. While no official reason was given, speculation points to financial and logistical challenges. CAF must now urgently find a new host just weeks before the tournament. FIF President Yassine Idris Diallo expressed regret over the situation, acknowledging efforts made in preparation. The withdrawal highlights the difficulties nations face in hosting major tournaments, exposing the gap between ambition and feasibility. Filipino wildcard Alexandra Ayala pulled off a massive upset at the Miami Open, defeating world number 2 Iga Swiatek 6-2, 7-5 to reach the semifinals. Ranked 140th, the 19-year-old became the first Filipina to reach the WTA 1000 quarterfinal and continued her remarkable run by defeating the four-time Grand Slam champion. Ayala, who trained at Rafael Nadal's academy in Spain, kept her composure after falling behind 4-2 in the second set. She broke Swiatek 8 times, sealing victory when the Polish star served to stay in the match. Swiatek acknowledged she was below her best and looked ahead to the clay season. Ayala will now face Jessica Pegula in the semi-finals. And that's all at this hour. But before we go, we'll look at our top stories again. INEC notifies Akpoti Odwanga of recall process, confirms contact details of petitioners. 15th Emir of Kano, Bayero, cancels annual Durbar celebration, cites security concerns. We also told you that Niger's military chief, Chani, has been sworn in as president. Do remember to send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. And you can follow us on our social media. We are at News Central TV. Don't forget to watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Go TV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Arvo TV and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Lekon Onobanjo.